Am I the jerk for canceling the Mother's Day celebration that I arranged for my wife after hearing the disgusting things she told my son? At 37, I found myself a widower and father to a 13-year-old son. Life took a turn when I met my now wife, a woman with a 16-year-old daughter of her own. Despite our differences, we usually got along well. My son was the quiet one, never demanding attention, while my wife and stepdaughter embodied extroversion. They often encouraged my son to step out of his comfort zone, join activities, and attend family gatherings. Eventually, my son confided in me, expressing his frustration at being pushed beyond his limits. I spoke to my wife and stepdaughter, requesting they give him space and respect his boundaries. They apologized and promised to do so. With Mother's Day fast approaching, I decided to surprise my wife with a celebration. The surprise, however, was short-lived as my stepdaughter spilled the beans. I left work early one day to finalize arrangements for a family gathering at a restaurant. Little did I know I was about to overhear a conversation that would change everything. As I entered the house, my wife's voice caught my attention. She was talking to my son, urging him to convince me to let him stay home during the celebration. Curious, I listened. My son questioned her reasoning, only to be told that his introverted nature would make her family uncomfortable and spoil the occasion. Despite his assurances that he would behave and socialize, she remained unconvinced. Her words turned cold as she reminded him that she wasn't his mother and questioned his insistence on celebrating with her. My stepdaughter chimed in with a backhanded remark, and then they saw me. Silence fell as I sent my son and stepdaughter to their rooms. I confronted my wife, canceling the celebration. She tried to defend herself, claiming I hadn't heard the entire conversation, but my mind was made up. Furious, she demanded to know what she would tell her family. I remained unmoved as she hurled accusations and tantrums my way. The following morning, my wife and stepdaughter left to stay with her parents. No word from her since. Tension fills the air, and though I'm still angry, I can't help but feel hurt. I'd planned the celebration with the best of intentions, but the harshness of her words toward my son couldn't be ignored. Story 2. Am I the jerk for going too far to decrease my boyfriend's medical bill? The night was shrouded in darkness as my boyfriend rushed to the ER following a harrowing accident. When the exorbitant bill arrived, it threatened to upend our lives and ruin our holiday plans. Determined to fight the injustice, I offered my assistance, having battled such financial foes before. He hesitantly agreed, little knowing the lengths to which I would go. With fierce resolve, I had him grant me authorization to access his medical records and handle the bill on his behalf. Pored over the itemized charges, meticulously comparing each code to fair market prices. Reached out to the billing department only to be directed towards hospital administration. Suffered through hours of being transferred from one unhelpful representative to another in a labyrinth call center. Conducted an exhaustive search on Google and LinkedIn, unearthing the hospital's board of directors and upper management. Compiled an extensive list of 30 influential individuals, including hospital investors. Embarked on a daily campaign of sending emails up the chain of command, detailing their outrageous overcharging and the repeated failures of various departments to address the issue. Escalated my correspondence, confronting director-level staff with the entire board and outside investors copied, demanding a written explanation for their exorbitant pricing and delineating the company's myriad failures. My persistence paid off. The bill, once a daunting $5,000, was slashed to a mere $26. Victory was mine. Eager to share the good news, I found my boyfriend, who initially embraced me with joy, calling me his Christmas miracle. However, his delight turned to dismay as he discovered the extent of my crusade. I had gone beyond his expectations, transforming into an unrelenting force that held an entire hospital accountable. Although I had saved us a small fortune, he couldn't see past the methods I had employed. My triumph, it seemed, had come at a cost. We stood there, anger bubbling beneath the surface, as he accused me of harassment and threats instead of gratitude for the holiday I had salvaged. It was a victory tainted by resentment, a reminder of the fine line between heroism and obsession. Story 3. Am I the jerk for kicking out one of my bridesmaids for showing up in the wrong dress? The clock was ticking as my wedding approached, held on the frosty eve of December 31st. Winter's icy grip had enveloped the land, inspiring the theme of my wedding. Forest green and gold adorned the event, and tension simmered beneath the surface. Even now, the repercussions still haunt me, and I wonder if I was in the wrong. As winter reigned, I had chosen a forest green dress for my bridesmaids, with my maid of honor draped in black, and everyone adorned with gold accessories. Yet one friend, whom we'll call Kat, rebelled against my choice of color. She argued for something more girly, suggesting hues of pink, blue, or even red. Undeterred, I held firm to my vision, even as Kat pleaded to wear black like my maid of honor. Despite her protestations, I paid for all the dresses. The wedding day dawned, and as the clock's hand inched closer to the ceremony, Kat arrived late, clutching a mysterious bag containing what appeared to be a dress. She claimed it was for the reception, intending to change after the photos. I hesitantly agreed, but little did I know the storm brewing just beneath the surface. As the ceremony loomed, we descended the stairs for pre-wedding photos, only for Kat to appear last, clad in a defiant black dress. My maid of honor alerted me to the brewing crisis, and I confronted Kat, demanding an explanation. She confessed her disdain for the forest green, claiming it made her look unattractive. When I pleaded with her to change, she refused and stormed off. My patience at its end, I issued an ultimatum: comply or face expulsion. Her furious retort sealed her fate, and I summoned security to escort her from the premises. As she departed, she unleashed a torrent of insults, branding me a heartless and inconsiderate friend. The wedding proceeded, and its magic was undiminished. In the aftermath, Kat bombarded me with vitriolic messages, demanding reimbursement for the black dress she never wore. I was forced to block her number. Even my other bridesmaids questioned my actions, suggesting that I had been too harsh and should perhaps offer compensation. I am left wondering, am I the antagonist for banishing her from my wedding? Story 4. Am I the jerk for bringing up my brother's premature birth at Christmas dinner to get my parents to shut up? As a nurse practitioner, I stand at the forefront of low-risk maternity cases, working hand-in-hand with doctors and midwives to ensure a healthy journey through maternity, birth, and postpartum. Meanwhile, my fiancé, a dedicated resident, shares a life with me that has stood the test of time. Our path to marriage has been a winding one, delayed by the constant whirlwind of our careers. We had made plans, but life had other intentions. My devout parents, however, were driven to despair, their youngest son living a life they deemed sinful. But June's approach promised a union that would put their minds at ease. Christmas found us in my parents' home, surrounded by siblings, their spouses, and a gaggle of grandchildren. A total of 17 souls gathered to celebrate. At dinner, my mother expressed her relief at our impending nuptials, while my father beamed with pride for my elder siblings who had adhered to the traditional path. This familiar argument had been a thorn in our sides, and as my fiancé blushed with embarrassment, I could bear it no longer. Despite my repeated requests for acceptance, they continued to challenge my life choices. I opted for the sanctuary of hotels when visiting, seeking distance from their constant judgment. In a calculated move, I shared the tale of a premature infant, born 3 months early, weighing just 1.6 pounds. Despite its fragile form, the NICU held hope for the child's survival. My parents' faces betrayed their shock, and I pressed on, inquiring about my eldest brother's premature birth, suggesting we consult the family album. I had already discovered the truth, courtesy of my grandmother, who had revealed that my brother was, in fact, a healthy 9 pounds and nearly 23 inches long at birth. The conversation shifted abruptly as my parents scrambled to save face. After supper, they admonished me for airing private matters. Undeterred, I issued a warning. Any further mention of my living arrangements would be met with a reminder of my mother's own second trimester marriage. My parents, still smarting from my revelation, begrudgingly accepted their defeat. My fiancé, now free from their judgment, found solace in the silence that followed. Am I the jerk for publicly telling everyone that my parents had conceived a baby before marriage? Story 5. Am I the jerk for walking out of the airport when I saw my husband's mom standing there with her luggage? As a 30-year-old woman, my relationship with my husband's mother has never been great. From day one, she made snide remarks and compared me to herself. Eventually, she tried to get on my good side by excessively praising everything I did, and at times even imitating me. One instance that comes to mind is when she dyed her hair purple, just like mine. When everyone pointed out how ridiculous she looked, she turned the tables and accused me of trying to make a joke out of her. Regardless, my husband and I took 2 weeks off work to embark on a vacation abroad. I was responsible for saving up for and organizing the trip, while my husband took care of booking the tickets. His mother insisted on joining us, and when I refused, she threw tantrums, bombarded me with calls and texts, and even threatened to involve the police if she couldn't come. My husband suggested we let her join, but I reminded him that he shouldn't have told her about the trip in the first place. He then issued an ultimatum saying he wouldn't go if she couldn't come. I called his bluff, and he eventually agreed to tell her she couldn't come with us. Things became suspiciously quiet. On the day of our trip, we arrived at the airport around 2 p.m. My husband seemed to be searching for someone as he walked ahead of me. He led me to the waiting area, where I spotted his mother standing with her luggage. I was livid. As they hugged, I quietly turned around and headed for the exit. My husband chased after me, trying to persuade me that I was overreacting and should let it go since his mom was there anyway. I told him he could go with her, but I was going home. Once home, I sobbed into my dog's fur for several minutes, devastated that my husband had booked his mother's ticket without my knowledge. He returned an hour later, furious, accusing me of being pathetic and spiteful for walking out and ruining the trip at the last minute. I argued that he had caused this mess, but he continued to berate me and even called my family to tell them the trip was canceled because of me. My family said I should have endured the situation and tried to enjoy the trip. Did I truly overreact? Story 6. Am I the jerk for not taking down my video that was a gift from my best man? I have a sister who is 6 years older than me. For years, my parents have canceled on me last minute because of my sister. If I have a basketball game, they apologize, saying my sister doesn't feel like going out. When I was graduating, they apologized again because my sister had a bad day at work. They have missed both major and minor events in my life due to her meltdowns. I met the love of my life and we decided to get married. From the beginning, I told my parents I was worried my sister would ruin another special moment in my life. My mom assured me repeatedly that it wouldn't happen. On my wedding day, I received a voicemail from my mom saying they couldn't come because my sister's dog was sick and she was upset. I had no idea about the post until I returned home. Our honeymoon was at a lakeside cabin with no cell service. The post's caption read, "My best friend. He is an amazing person even if his parents never showed up for him." The video consisted of still pictures of us next to her parents, me on the dance floor, and cutting the cake. Moments where both parents would typically appear in wedding photos. The background audio was my mom's voicemail explaining they couldn't come because my sister's dog was sick. A week later, I came home to hundreds of messages from family members on both sides insisting I take the post down. I was told my sister hadn't stopped crying and my mom refused to leave the house. I may be in the wrong here. I didn't take the post down when I got the messages, nor did I call my family back right away. I waited until my vacation time was over at work and enjoyed my time with my wife in our new home before I contacted anyone. My dad told me to take down the video, saying it was just a bad night for them and that they would make it up to me and my wife for not attending. I asked him how they planned to make up for my wedding, as it was a once-in-a-lifetime event, and they chose to ignore my feelings on the matter. He simply repeated that they would make it up to me. I told him I would take down the video only when they made up for missing my wedding. Flustered, we both hung up the phone before saying things we might regret. Am I the a-hole here? I could have just taken down the video. Story 7. Am I the jerk for using flashcards to explain to my brother and his wife why they can't bring their rainbow baby to my wedding? My fiancé and I are getting married, and we've decided that our wedding will be child-free. We don't have anything against children. We just want to keep the event more organized and contained. My brother Chris and his wife have a 3-year-old son whom everyone calls a miracle or rainbow baby. He was born after several failed pregnancies that lasted for years. When they found out that my nephew was included in the no children rule, they tried to convince me to make an exception for him. Chris told me his son is a miracle baby and his presence at the wedding would bring blessings for my fiancé and me. I refused, stating that the wedding is child-free. His wife kept sending my fiancé pictures of my nephew when he was just a few months old. I'm not sure why. I told them no and asked them to stop. My brother warned that this might cause a rift in our relationship. I reiterated that the wedding is child-free. He asked again, emphasizing that his baby is different since he's a rainbow, a miracle baby. I repeated my stance, explaining that the wedding is child-free. When they brought it up during a visit to my home, I could tell they weren't going to stop. So I had prepared flashcards in advance with the phrase, "The wedding is child-free, period." I pulled them out and started slowly showing them the flashcards one by one in this order. The wedding, with a sticker of a bride and groom. Is Child with a sticker of a baby, Free with a sticker of a red slash sign, and Period with a huge black dot sticker. Both of them were stunned. I asked if they understood now, and Chris lost his temper. His wife had already grabbed her stuff and walked out. Chris called me an a-hole for doing this and said I had disrespected him, his wife, and their son, who is my one and only nephew. He rushed out after we argued. My fiancé saw the whole thing and thought it was funny, but my parents and Chris are livid beyond measure. They're telling everyone about the amount of disrespect and mockery I displayed toward them, and I'm being told to fix it now. Thanks for watching till the end, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more of these ridiculous stories. Love you all, and stay safe out there in that crazy world. Much love. Peace.